Hey, the title of this video might be Don't Play the Wii Game. W-E. Don't play the Wii game. So we're going to watch together global national news, and it focuses on Canada. So we're going to take a look at it together, and I'll be talking here and there. But the first thing you need to notice is that there's a lot of blue on the screen. Now that's the color for law. And red is slightly in the screen, which is trying to combine the blue and the red to make purple. But mostly it's blue, which means it's a story about law, and it's an attempt to change law or your perception of law or your involvement with law. And basically what's going to happen throughout the newscast is they're going to try to include you and make you in the Wii game and be on the team and everything. In other words, just give up anything that you know is a right and shut up, take orders, go into your house, shut the door, self-impose isolation because there's a deadly virus in the air and people are going to die, and this is serious. And you can stop death by cooperating with these totalitarian orders. So we're going to look at it together, and I'll be stopping it and talking here and there.
On this Monday night, situation critical at an Ontario nursing home.
Okay, there you are. Situation critical. Why is it critical? Because she says so. Now, what about your own eyes? What about your own ears? What about your own experience in life? Is that telling you situation is critical? Or are you being told by images on a screen that situation is critical?
9 people die as the virus sweeps through a care home. Our worst.
Okay, now, there's no way to know this because a lot of the nursing homes now are in a high lockdown situation, and no one's going to get in unless the person is very critical inside. It's very similar to what's going on in the hospitals, and I'm not sure, I don't think they've had armed guards yet, but the armed guards or the goons are just to try to keep you out so you don't see. There's nothing critical going on. It's just life is normal for people in the nursing home as in the hospitals. There's nothing critical going on. It's just life as normal. But if you believe the media and take the blue color and put it into your head, you'll believe it all.
Nightmare and possibly beyond that came true. Plus.
Okay, one woman tells you that there's a nightmare. Well, of course it's a nightmare because it's invented. It's in your subconscious.
An entire community in Quebec now under.
Okay, there's the oppressive rule. Quarantine, that's imprisonment.
Quarantine, payroll plan, new details on the massive wage subsidy for businesses and charities.
Okay, wage subsidies. This is the government coming in and solving everything and creating a dependent business or a dependent individual on government. Now notice again the red and the blue. Those are your two poles or your two powers, so to speak, in the demonic world.
Stranded and sick at sea. Where will 2 cruise ships carrying Canadian...
Okay, these might just simply be empty cruise ships. And of course, those who are at the high level cooperate with all the nonsense and all the lies. And they're just basically empty ships, but you don't know that. They just show you a picture of a ship. And they tell you they're stranded at sea. Oh my gosh.
Be allowed to dock. Staggering numbers in New York as a makeshift hospital goes up in Central Park.
We've been behind this virus from day one.
Can Canada...
Okay, makeshift hospitals, they're just props. There's nothing going on in there. And there's no way you'll know, because you'll be confronted with some goon with a gun. You can't go in and snoop around to see. It's just a prop.
Avoid the same crisis and ethical dilemma. If there are too many patients and too few ventilators, who gets treated first?
Okay, now we have the whole situation of we have the ability to take life. In other words, we do have the ability because we're in charge.
Global National with Donna Friesen.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. 9 weeks after the first confirmed case of COVID-19 in Canada, and this country has reached a critical moment.
The first confirmed case of a simple, common cold. Get it through your head. I know folks out there think there's something deadly in the air. It's nonsense. It's just a common cold. Sure, you can confirm a case of the common cold. Sure, you can say there's 100 people with a common cold. That's all it is, people. Look it up in a medical dictionary. They changed the name on it to fool you. Viruses don't mutate. They don't mutate. They don't become deadly viruses. They're just a regular, ordinary cold. And then the whole world is sold on this hoax.
Now is the time we begin to find out how much the physical distancing and self-isolation we're doing is slowing the spread of the virus.
Okay, that's a form of torture and torment. What do you do with a prisoner in a prison compound who's not cooperating? You put him or her in isolation. You take them down to a different location. You close the door and you feed them 3 times a day. Why? To break their spirit. This is a form of torture and breaking down, so you're subject to more mind control. It is the process of breaking down the human soul and spirit so that you're subjected to more of the orders and more of the mind control. Just go to your room, shut the door, and we'll tell you what to do.
Virus. There are signs in some places it is beginning to work. And tonight, there's another example of what happens when the virus spreads through a care home. 9 people connected to a long-term care home in Bobcaygeon, Ontario have died. That's according to the home's medical director. 24 staff have tested positive. It is the biggest outbreak in Ontario. Care home residents and the staff they rely on are among the most vulnerable. The facilities are often understaffed.
Okay, what are you looking at? You're just looking at photographs or somebody filming the outside of a nursing home. That's all you see.
People work in more than one home and few have personal protection equipment. Ontario has the most deaths in the country now, 33. And
okay, there's your 33 code. 33. 1 is that it originates from the devil. 2 is that you begin to buy into it and get hooked. And 3 is you've accepted it. Now the 33 is you reflect it back out. With your mouth, you tell people. People are dying everywhere. With your mouth, you confirm there's a deadly virus in the air and it's going to kill all of us. That's the 33 code. That's why they use the number 33 often. So anytime you see 33 or 1/3, whatever, that's the bell to go off and tell you it's a hoax.
it has strict new advice tonight for anyone over the age of 70 or who has underlying health conditions. Stay home and self-isolate. That means don't leave the house at all. Abigail Beeman reports on the toll this virus is taking on a small-town care home.
We're all shedding tears. Pinecrest Nursing Home's medical director described.
Okay, we're all shedding tears. Do you see tears in her eyes? Do you see tears in her eyes? Now, I've known of people working in nursing homes, And many of them do actually care about the people, and they do actually really cry sometimes when someone dies that they love. Does this woman look like she really cares? Where's her tears?
It as a war zone. She says 9 people have died of COVID-19 and at least 35 residents are sick. There's 65 beds in the home.
Our worst night.
You could go to any typical nursing home, anywhere in the U.S. or Canada, before all this nonsense, and ask people, are you sick? Well, of course. At their age, they're sick almost all the time of something. Trust me, I know. I've been in and out of nursing homes my whole life. It's nonsense. Look at this so-called woman, which probably really is just a man. Notice the scarf to cover her Adam's apple.
And possibly beyond that came true.
Residents' family members like Lindsay Blears can only wait at home, hoping for the best.
Wishing we could have those times, wishing I could just go in there, but unfortunately they're not even allowed to leave their room, so it's scary, it's sad.
We're putting an iron ring of protection around our seniors, especially those in long-term care and retirement homes.
Did he say an iron ring? An iron ring? What in the world is that? Sounds like oppression to me. Now let's get your sympathy and your empathy for these folks. We need to protect them because they're all going to die. So now that's why you see the wheelchairs.
No agency putting out information on care homes, no coordinated way to get a picture of what's inside. Stories like Pinecrest emerging through the media. The Ontario Premier's Iron Ring is $243 million to protect residents through more screening and cleaning and increased capacity. The province saw its biggest daily increase in cases overall. Doug Ford is now asking anyone over 70 and those who are immunocompromised to self-isolate and warns everyone else to physically distance.
We're prepared to take further action if we do not see the spread of this virus slow down in the coming days.
Did you notice he had on a blue tie? Once again, blue for law, to get your mind shifting away from true understanding of law and the way life is lived, and accept this totalitarian rule, which is now we rule over anything and everything. Not one thing in your life is in your hands. It's in our hands, the controllers.
It's a really critical week in our fight against the coronavirus.
Ottawa stressing what happens in the next few weeks is so dependent on how people behave today.
Notice that. Everything's dependent on how people behave. Do you accept the orders? Will you just obey? That's it, period. Now that's mind control.
Especially all those returning snowbirds and vacationers legally required to self-isolate.
Head directly home. Do not stop for groceries or other essential supplies.
Do not stop. Now we're playing Monopoly. This is the game of Monopoly. Do not stop.
Pick up the phone, get online and order what you need.
The Deputy Prime Minister acknowledges all these things aren't easy. Seniors trying to figure out online grocery orders.
Okay, did you see her name? Did you see her name? We'll go back.
Home. Do not stop for groceries or other essential supplies.
Not her.
Pick up the phone, get online.
She's a man.
Deputy Prime Minister acknowledges.
All right, let's look at her name. Bim Man. You see, they tell you. Look at her neck. Now somehow her Adam's apple's either been shaved or they found a way to put makeup on it, whatever, but she's a BIM man.
Seniors trying to figure out online grocery orders, physical distancing, people having trouble reaching Service Canada by phone. But while Krista Freeland apologizes for the system kinks, she's very clear that all these measures are, quote, what we have to do.
We. Hey, don't play the we game. No, say no. No, I'm not in the we. I'm not playing a we game. That's you, you liars, and all you people that want to believe their lies. Not me. I'm not in the we game. Don't look at me, Mr. Bim Man. Don't look at me and say we. No, not me.
Abigail Beeman, Global News, Ottawa.
Here are the big picture numbers in Canada. At least 7,400 people have now tested positive for COVID.
Okay, there's your 4 7s or your swastika. 4 7s.
COVID-19 across the country. That's roughly 3% of the 220,000 people who have been tested so far. It's not.
Now watch out for this testing stuff. It is possible that when they do a testing, they're actually injecting. When they're doing a testing, they're injecting. In other words, it's the law of reversal. They're giving you something in the test.
A complete picture of how many are infected, though, because we know not everyone with symptoms is getting tested. Of those who are confirmed positive, about 7% are in the hospital, 3% are in critical
Okay, there's your 3 7s.
condition, and about 1% of people who have tested positive have died. About half the confirmed cases in Canada are in Quebec. Close to 600 new cases were confirmed today alone, and that brings the total in Quebec to more than 3,400. There are clusters of outbreaks in several regions, and for the first time in Canada, an entire community has been put into quarantine. Mike Armstrong reports.
An entire Hasidic community north of Montreal.
Hasidic cabal
Is now officially quarantined. Aside from essential services, no one is allowed in or out. About 3,500 people have been ordered not to go.
Sure, they'll cooperate. They love the cabal, the Talmud, which has Jesus burning in hell. It is very evil.
Anywhere.
It's quite an intervention. It's maybe the most difficult decision in my life, about what we do now.
Health officials tested about 80 people in the community last week. Not even half the results are.
Okay, there's the phone. The idea is pick up on the story and tell somebody. That's what goes into your brain when you always see them in the stories with cell phones. Oh, people were chip. And they're saying the story over and over again, the same thing. They're minor birds.
Back, but they already have 15 positives. All people who recently traveled to the U.S. Travel is still an issue in Quebec. Police have set up roadblocks at main entry points.
Roadblocks! Where's your papers? Hi! This is the Gestapo. This is the Stasi. We are the goons. We're here to check you out, each and every one of you, because we're concerned about your safety. That's why we're doing this.
Into the province, telling people they have to self-isolate for 2 weeks. The province also has checkpoints around some hotspots and is limiting access to northern parts of Quebec. Denser areas have been hit harder. One major
They're just costumes. That's all. It's nonsense. Costumes. Blue costumes. Why? Because it's a story about law.
cluster is in Montreal's West End. People not from the area are being told to stay away. The local mayor says the community skews older and is predominantly Jewish, two factors that likely played a role in the outbreak.
Well, it was
2 factors. Huh, how about that? Isn't that interesting?
expected because we have a lot of snowbirds that returned to our city in the last few weeks. And we also have a...
Look how casual he is. Think about the irony of all these stories. oh, so many people are dying, and oh, it's a terrible situation, it's a nightmare. Look at his face. Does he look like he's gone through a nightmare? Does he look like he's actually seen real death? Or does he look like someone that's trying to do his best in front of the camera to sell you nonsense?
A lot of celebrations.
There isn't one specific reason Quebec's been so badly hit. There are several. Travel corridors are a factor. There are a lot of links to New York City. But another factor the Premier points to is the calendar.
Okay, let's go into the command center where everybody in there is concerned about you. Oh, these folks that are in these positions are really concerned about you, right?
Most provinces hold spring break in mid or late March, and they were canceled over COVID-19.
Once again, everything's in blue.
Well, Quebec's spring break was the first week of March. Families went on vacation not knowing there was a threat. In fact, the week after, there were 4 days where everyone went back to school.
Of course they didn't know there was a threat, because there is none until you're told. All of this, all of it, is because you are told by the media. Your eyes and your ears and your experience right where you are tells you there is nothing happening. But if you watch the television and you tune in to the wrong tune, you'll believe all the nonsense and the lies of the liars of this world, who's under the father of lies. Okay, I think I'm going to stop this right here, and I might do a part 2. End of video.